Good morning. It is Friday morning, time for another episode of Fridays with Frank. I'm Scott Cullen, editor-in-chief of the Cannata Report. Great to be with you again this morning. Before I bring out Frank, don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment. And now please welcome Frank Cannata. Hey, Frank, how you doing today? And what's on your mind?
Well, I've been struggling, but I'm ready to go to work. At any rate, I've, I've been kicking around an idea since attending Printing United. And the more I talk to other people that I respect as being very knowledgeable in the area of printing general, I'm thoroughly convinced that there is a great horizon for our industry. And I believe that horizon to be printing on textile. And allow me to explain my reasons for it. At Printing United, obviously, it was the typical companies having press conferences. The best one we attended, frankly, was Cannata Report with Frank Malozzi. Because, Frank talking about printers, you got the best. Anyway, in 2018, CJ Carroll and myself went to Barcelona for the ITMA show at the request of Frank Malozzi, who was then vice president at EFI in charge of worldwide sales, global. He said, you got to go and you got to see this. And it was one of the most impressive conferences or meetings or exhibitions I've ever attended. I'm walking around and looking and seeing names that I'm not familiar with. And all of a sudden I see HP, who is then introducing textile printing for the first time. I was not aware of it, but obviously CJ and I sat down with the people from HP, had a great conversation. Walking a little further, what do I see? Cannata Report. I didn't know Cannata Report had textile printers. They had acquired a textile company a few years prior. So to make a long story short, I said, okay. Now we've since learned that Ricoh has textile products. The problem seems to be, in terms of why aren't they coming out with them, is they are limited on the fabric that they can print on. And as long as they're limited to the extent that they're only be able to print on cotton material, it doesn't make much sense. Now, when we spoke with HP, they said that they were comfortable with that because they felt education was the segment of the market that they could exploit. I said, education, textile printers, what's the connection? He says, think of a normal high school. Think of all the uniforms they have to buy with both women and men playing. So you go into a school, you bid the school contract, you can then add printing all the uniforms. And obviously build on, build on that. Well, here we are in 2014, 6 years later, and I think HP would tell you it hasn't turned out as well as they thought. At any rate, back to the Cannata Report press conference, there was 4 Japanese gentlemen there, and normally you do not see 4 Japanese from one company. So it's obviously they had a special purpose. And I think fundamentally they're taking a look at the market and see where they can introduce and when they can introduce them. This is only my surmise, so please understand that. When is the right time to do it? At any rate, I asked Frank, I said, when is Cannata Report going to introduce their textile printer? And Frank had no answer because he was probably told, just say, I don't know. Frank did that very well, and we're not sure, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, during the discussion afterwards, One of the Japanese gentlemen came and sat down next to me, and I'm sorry I didn't take his card, and I'm angry with myself for not doing it. At any rate, he said, "You're absolutely right about textile printing, that it has a good future in our business." He said, "Their concern is what I just iterated. It's got to print on a wider range of fabric." So they're obviously very comfortable that they're very close to doing that in terms of developing of the product. It just seems to me, historically, we used to produce textile in this country right up until the Clinton administration, when they enacted, I'm not sure what the law was called, but basically what it amounted to was encourage U.S. companies to buy their fabrics from China, India, Italy, Germany, wherever, because we couldn't compete. And the Clinton administration didn't want to enact tariffs because they felt that would hurt the balance of trade that we enjoy with those countries. Well, that textile industry went away. I think it's coming back. And I think we will see a rejuvenation of print because of it. Now, I've spoken to some dealers about it that I respect very highly. I think all of us respect highly. I don't want to mention names. I don't think it's appropriate. Their feeling is, look, we're the sellers. If there's a market, I want to go. So what you're asking me is, do I want to go in and develop a market? And the answer is no. I don't want to do that. And I get it. But if you take a look at Konica Minolta and Rico in this case, both have direct operations. It wouldn't be the first time that manufacturers inserted product into a market through their direct operation, and then gradually try to bring the dealers into the picture. So my belief, that's exactly what is going to happen, and it will open up an enormous opportunity. And I think that has a great future. You couple that with labeling, box manufacturing, printing is going to go through the roof. I really see that happening. Now, from the dealer perspective, they have to get with it. I don't know if you recall at the gala how I closed my remarks when I quoted Winston Churchill. To each of us, there comes a single moment of time where faith literally taps us on the shoulder and offers unto us something for which we're ideally suited. What a shame that moment were to come and it finds us unprepared. I think that's where we're exactly at. We better be prepared. That's it, Scott.